So next up is our Enterprise Executive Leadership Award. Now let me ask you, how many of you have relied on the COVID-19 dashboards published by Johns Hopkins University when your company decided to have all the employees work from home starting in March or April? We went from a few thousand cases back then to about 10.5 million cases as of today. So did you ever wonder where this geographic framework and location intelligence for the dashboard came from? Well, it came from Esri, which was founded by our Enterprise Award winner and president, Jack Dangermond. Esri has become a global leader in GIS and location intelligence with 49 offices worldwide, 11 dedicated research centers, and a strong user base of hundreds of thousands of organizations. Governments throughout the world, WHO and others, rely on Esri technology today. So as a founder and president, Jack has received many acknowledgments and accolades for his contributions in the fields of geography, environmental science, planning, and GIS, including 13, not one, 13 honorary degrees. So let's play this video to share the Esri story. Wow. Please join me in congratulating our Enterprise Award winner, Jack Dangermond, Esri founder and president, along with Esri CIO, Dan Abushanab. So Jack, thanks for joining us tonight and congratulations on the award.
Thank you very much, Thomas, and I deeply appreciate it. I mean, personally, it means a lot to me, but also I know it means a lot to my colleagues across Esri. We have about 5,000 people here in the US that work on building what now you sort of stole the show, showing all these maps. We build software that makes maps and does geographic information system development for organizations. And across the Southland here in Southern California, there are actually thousands of organizations that use it, like the county, like the city, virtually all the cities, the counties, Edison in the public sector, Simpra, businesses, all sorts of people. They build geographic information about their assets and their various enterprises. And then they use it, of course, for visualizing and seeing and analyzing and making their organizations better. So I'm thankful that you're acknowledging us, because it's nice to be acknowledged. Everybody feels acknowledged through these kinds of awards, and we appreciate it. But it also is important to highlight the role of the work that Esri has been doing, which is to build geographic science and geographic information into various workflows and activities. That's our big vision. We have about 350,000 organizations or organizations that use our tools virtually all around the world. And when the virus started to take hold last spring, we began to make our software available to our users and build templates that did like Johns Hopkins did. But thousands of cities and counties built their own reporting showing the mapping of the cases, and then build models of where the cases were moving, and then overlay those models on top of all the facilities, the hospitals, the care facilities, the nursing homes, and so forth, so they could see the impaction using location as a common way to bring information together. And that's basically what our tools do. So they were able to forecast and then show not only where it was happening, but also what it's going to impact, showing capacity thresholds and where attention should be paid. And then later, picking out the right locations for testing and picking out the right locations for potentially new hospitals like our customers in a number of countries overseas had to do. And then now we're working on things like logistics, how we move the vaccines to the right facilities. So in a way, it's helping people understand things, helping them understand the patterns and relationships that are happening in this disease. And generally speaking, what our tools do is do the same thing for organizations, whether it's Walmarts or Walgreens or Starbucks, they pick the right location. Or whether it's government agencies, they manage the facilities and manage the best places for things to be located. And more recently, this information is put out with web maps and web services to the world, connecting citizens so they can get engaged in what the government is doing. So some people think we're in the technology business. Sometimes I say we're in the understanding business, because through analytics and modeling, we do those sorts of things. My Esri is managed by some really amazing people, and one of them that I'm very proud to bring up here now, if you could bring him up, is Dan Abushanab. Early on, this is 50 years ago, when we first started our company, we didn't really think much about IT to run the company. In fact, it took us a couple decades to do so. But in the 90s, we began to wake up that we got big enough with all of our users that we needed to have back office systems. And Dan joined us a couple decades ago, but he began to bring in I think it was 2 decades ago, Dan, maybe something like that.
9 years, 9 years. It just feels like longer.
But he brought in the discipline of IT into the organization and absolutely transformed it. He's a director, meaning a senior manager. Normally you would call that a vice president, I guess, in companies, that really made IT a fundamental part of our strategy of growing the company and serving our users. So I just want to say thank you very much again for this acknowledgement. We're a little company out in Redlands, California. If any of you ever want to go out east of most of where you live, we're happy to host you here when things get better. But also, I think, Dan, maybe you can speak on behalf of all of the thousands of users at Esri, maybe sharing a little bit of what we do and your thoughts about this, by the way, this great award. Thank you very much, Thomas.
Yeah, I think like so many of us who provide IT services to our companies, the pandemic was all about making your company work remotely, right? And for us at Esri, that of course meant, just like every company, making sure our staff could communicate with each other. The one sort of extra thing that we had to do because of COVID, like Jack said, we provide all these templates. We also, in any disaster, whether it's a pandemic or a hurricane or flood or whatever kind of disaster, we make our software rapidly available to any organization who need it to help them get back on their feet quickly.
Free. It's a free service. We have a large team that basically is a disaster response team. And we started building this after the big earthquakes in the valley, a few decades ago. But that really means opening up the resources of the company and just throwing it 7x24 at these sorts of things. And Dan is really speaking to one of the hearts and souls of our company philosophy, is to stand up when we need to be needed.
Yeah. And so we had the extra wrinkle this year of making that program. First of all, we had huge demand, more than 5,000 organizations that came to us for help. and we had to help them and keep track of what we'd given to whom and help them get up and running. So all of our systems had to be adjusted to make Ryan Landclose and the rest of our DRP team able to bring that to our customers. So a lot of the time in IT, we end up just in the back office and we're not really that connected to the mission of the company. But I'm really blessed at Esri to be very much in the mix of meeting our mission to serve our users. Thanks, Jack, for the opportunity, and thanks to Innovate at UCLA for the award.
Yeah, and let me just acknowledge Innovate. This is an amazing organization. As one of the previous speakers said, many communities don't have the kind of social network that has brought together the IT professionals, and this idea of acknowledging great work, but also just communicating and building that community, that's sort of a fellowship, is really so very valuable. So thank you, UCLA, for supporting this great initiative. And again, thank you very much for this acknowledgement.
Thank you so much, Jack, and thank you, Dan. You know, Jack, I have one question for you. We have a lot of students here joining us today from UCLA, from other colleges like USC, CSU Long Beach, et cetera. And many of them are probably thinking about starting their own tech company. And you started Esri, what, 50 years ago. So would you share with us any lessons learned or any advice you would give to these students that are aspiring to become a successful leader like yourself?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of personal interpretations, Thomas, and I don't know that it's applicable to everyone. But I don't like VCs. I don't like venture capital. I don't like borrowing money. The way we did it is we started small with $1,100, and we just started doing little project work for people. And we did that very gradually without funding. We didn't borrow any money, but we were very passionate. I mean, we had this one great thing, which is the combination of computing and visualization and analytics all brought together as an idea. We started doing little projects, and about 10 years into it, we began to build a product, and then we sold that product, and it just sort of scaled up. So instead of doing all the work ourselves as a consulting company, we gradually moved to selling systems and empowering other people like cities and counties and businesses and academics to do it themselves. And that sort of kept growing. We took all the money that we got back from our sales and we keep investing it into new innovation. So Esri is unique because we invest about well over 30% of our revenue goes into new innovation. And I very much appreciate what Dr. Kawasaki talked about of this idea of continuous innovation. You just have to be constantly bringing in the new technologies, bringing in feedback from what your users need and want, and then also having really smart people, and we have some very smart people here that keep inventing and evolving. In other words, some people can come up with one new innovation, but the idea of continuous innovation, ongoing releases in the way that we do things is part of our success. But starting off, again, let me just go back to answer your question. I was very lucky in school, and my wife supported me in this vision when we first started it, of finding something that was really cool that excited us. And we saw how that idea, this idea of systems analysis and computing and maps and geographic thinking could really make a big difference. And we just, I mean, where would you go to work 50 years ago? We couldn't. So we just started doing little by little by little. And because we were so excited about this neat thing, then it was very easy to work all night and continuously work. And we still have that same culture today. Is it just draws us because it really is technology that's addressing all the big challenges of the world, whether it's in health or whether it's in climate change or whether it's in building livable cities or whether it's managing things efficiently, routing trucks, society. It's really so exciting, And so I encourage young people to find something they really love. I mean, if it's music, forget about technology. If it's working for whatever it is, find that one thing or a couple things that you really want to bring together to make your life work happen. And that to me is, and what I say, what not to do is read a damn book on, these are the steps, round one, round two, and get all caught up in that junk. Really, at least for me, what was important is to really follow my passion.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And maybe one last quick question for you here is, when we last talked, Jack, you mentioned you start your day at 6 a.m. in the morning. So I'm just curious, real quickly, what is your typical day like these days? And can you share with us some of the conversations that you are having with world leaders about the pandemic or about technology?
Well, I think since the pandemic started, we find ourselves working. I find myself working harder than I ever have, and many of my colleagues are in the same boat. I mean, yeah, we're working from home or sometimes in the office, but it's so. I mean, you wake up and it's just like a fire hose of constant things that are going on. State of California things, state of Maryland things, state of Alabama things, state of the country of UAE or the country of Spain or the country of Germany, and they're all facing exactly the same thing we are here. Some countries have had more policies that are those of containment, like in Korea and in UAE, and some countries are more open, like here. And so we are privileged to sort of see the front lines of what's going on with this particular event. What I have to say is that the maps and the geographic approach that our users are taking are waking up the world to how interrelated we all are. You know, what started in Wuhan started to spread out, started to jump here, jump there. And that map of Johns Hopkins, I think, did an enormous awareness creation of how humans are interrelated, how their social interactions are all interrelated, and the results of that. But so I'd just say everybody's getting educated to the context of geography. And of course, there's these other waves coming, like climate change, which requires the same kind of language of communication, and other waves of biodiversity loss that are just as challenging, or natural resource scarcity, or so why are we working so hard? Because there's big challenges, and we're very fortunate because we have the opportunity to work in this segment of IT. I would call it valuable and unique, to pick up on Dr. Kawasaki's idea. And boy, it's so motivating. We just can't stop. So our business continues to grow in spite of these difficult times that are facing a lot of other organizations. And it's nice to be able to participate and work. So I think that's personal motivation, but I speak on behalf of all of my colleagues. I mean, we are a powerful force in this epidemic that has made, I think, a difference.
And you probably can't see the chat, Jack, but I saw a note here from Teresa Miller, who is the CIO of Lionsgate Entertainment and also the chair of our organization. But her comment was that she loves your passion for technology.
Yeah.
So thank you again for being with us tonight. Congratulations to you and to Dan. And we appreciate what you're doing to make it.
Appreciated on behalf of all of my colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.